Thanks for being back to Growth Factor. This is part 2 with David Skidneski. The reason we're doing part 2 is we didn't talk about it before, but David actually spent 6 days in heaven. On earth, it was a few minutes of being dead. He was actually dead in an accident. He is from askadeadguy.com. That's why he's got that website. He was dead for a while and it really affected his life. But before we talk about that, David was born in 1960. He is in such amazing shape. And his blood or testosterone levels, he'll talk about that, is like an 18 or 20-year-old. So let's just go right into it. I want to ask David what foods he eats, how he works out. It's more detailed than part 1. So let's jump right into it, David. Thanks for being here for part 2.
Thanks again, Amalia. I really appreciate it. So, one of the things, some of the things I eat, and we talked in the last one, we talked about my liquid salad. Okay, and it's very useful. In fact, for people who want to lose weight, truly, you take that thing in the morning, eat whatever you eat, throughout the day, in the evening, go back and do the same thing. That's all you're going to do. And then your body's going to, I got to tell you, if you've been eating junk food, you're going to have different kind of bowel movements for a little while because you're going to be cleaning yourself out. You will literally be expelling stuff because you're sticking a lot of fiber through there, and you're going to clean yourself out. But you're going to feel great. After 2, 3, 4 days, your body's going to start to adjusting to this new routine. It has nutrition it needs, and you're going to start feeling better. It's just, it's a simple process because in most of our diets, we don't get the nutrition we need. It's just, we're starving. That's why so many people are overweight, because they keep eating, trying to get nutrition. And this is a good segue into this. People eat for nervous reasons. I've done it in my life. I know my mom did it when she was uncomfortable. She would just eat because it would make her feel better. And she would tell us, she was pretty aware about what she was doing, and she knew she was doing it, but she still didn't stop doing it. So it's becoming that awareness. And one of the ways to become aware, and this is important, we are human beings, and as it relates to the it's called the near-death experience. I don't believe in death. I want to start a new term. It's called an absolute reality experience, because that is the absolute reality that we live in, and it's easy how to get there. And I've been practicing this off and on for over 4 decades. It's remaining in the present moment. And we've heard, so many of us have heard that. We'll know when we're not in it, because if we get fearful, we're thinking of the future. If we get depressed, we're thinking about the past. We think about all the things we didn't do or things that went wrong. That's depressive. We're all the fearful things, that's fearful. If we can, and I use a simple and silly technique because I want to take the spookiness, the mystery out of mysticism. Right now, I'm sitting. If I become aware of my butt in the chair and really become aware of it, if I were to, close my eyes and then take a deep breath, hold it for 3, 4, 5 seconds and release it, and I can just feel myself right here at this moment. It is the only thing that's going on. Now, the mind has a tendency, especially in the beginning, to wander off. And it's so subtle that people can go 15, 20 minutes without even realizing they've just been thinking, or as I call it, they've just been thoughting. One thought after another, after another, after another. It's not coherent. And when our thoughts are not coherent, we're not coherent. You just keep bringing it back. Okay, I can feel my butt. Yeah, I can literally feel my butt right now, or put my feet on the ground. Or if you're standing up, feel the bottoms of your feet on the ground. Or it's been said, in the Judeo-Christian Bible, you're on sacred ground. Maybe that was a clue to feel your feet on the ground. I don't think so, quite frankly, because I studied it. But the point being is, it allows us to return to the present moment. And the only way we can really generate and manifest anything is by being in the present moment. I mean, think how simple this is. If you're playing a game, with a group of friends or something, your thoughts are somewhere else, you're not going to be playing that game very well because you're going to be so distracted. No, you got to come back, you please stay focused right in the game, so stay focused right in your life. And that's important because when we start any new endeavor, starting out, just we're gonna get in better shape. It's a great idea to also start some simple meditation techniques. Don't get complicated. It's as simple as taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, exhale, relax, just tell your whole body to relax, and just be gentle with yourself, because a lot of times we're not gentle with ourselves. We're so demanding on ourselves. We become demanding on the people around us, and then people don't want to be around us, and then we want to eat more because people don't want to be around us, and it starts going. No, we go back to calm, go back to a centeredness, just go back to the present moment. Because when we're in the present moment, or excuse me, if we're not in the present moment, our actions become diffused. You think about an integer line. You got the negativity over here. You got past over here and future over here. So when we're over here in the past, we're not in the future. I mean, we're not in the present. And when we're in the future, we're not in the present. We're diffused. Now, that's not to say that you can't do this over a period of time and you do manifest things, but you do it with a lot of effort. And maybe you do it with a lot of destruction. Maybe you do it with the harming people. That's not the best way to do it. Staying in the present moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Do this do it for 5 minutes in the beginning. That's all it takes. Do it a couple times, 5 minutes. I've actually timed some of those segments. I don't watch TV anymore. Or I don't have a TV. I have a TV sitting right here, but I haven't hooked it up. It just sits there. But I calculated how much time is a segment of commercials. It's 3.5 to 4.5 minutes. Close your eyes. Just close your eyes and meditate that long. That's going to take us in another realm. And then when our body gets calmed down, our heart starts to slow down. When our heart starts to slow down, we become more coherent in our lives, so that we can function more easily, with our daily activities. So I don't even know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I want to show your body, born in 1960. Can you give us details of what you typically eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, what you recommend avoiding, and then give us your workout, not by day, but how many repetitions, how many minutes, how long are you in the gym?
Sure. So it's complex carbohydrates. There's complex carbohydrates and there's simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates is basically white sugar. White sugar is the most used. It's a drug. It's the most widely used drug we have. Sugar is a carbohydrate. Carbs, like a log is carbohydrates. We burn logs. When people get inflammation, it's because they have simple carbohydrates in their body that are burning them. It's inflammatory. That's the oxidant. It's oxidizing, literally, like, it's not exactly like it, but it's like rusting our bodies. And then our joints start to hurt. Our mental capacity starts to become reduced. We've heard of diabetes is so common with people who are overeating, especially when they're dumping sugars in their body. And going for those diet anything with those foreign chemicals in our bodies. Our bodies have not evolved at the same rate at which chemicals are being produced that we're shoving in our bodies. The body doesn't know what to do with it. It stores it. It just goes, all right, I'm just going to hang on to it because I don't even know how to eliminate it. And that's why it's important. In the mornings, start with, if you like oatmeal, get oatmeal. And if you can get the better, the simpler oatmeal, get the oatmeal. If the quick oatmeal is all you got, take the quick oatmeal. In fact, sometimes I will take oatmeal it's oatmeal flour, and I'll dump that in my liquid salad so I can get those carbohydrates, because I know that it's gonna be really filling for me, and it just satiates my appetite for a very long period of time. It's like, great. And for some people, they go, well, it costs a lot of money. In reality, it does not cost a lot of money because we're getting nutrition. When we're eating junk food, we do not get the nutrition we need. When we're getting the enzymes, the minerals, the vitamins, the proteins that we get out of, I typically go for more plant-based diet. Although I do occasionally eat fish because, well, I like it. I like salmon. I just think it's delicious. And and that's the other thing. Whether you believe you have a spiritual base or not, that's not important. But a thing is going in your body. It's important to realize it's a blessing all the same. And I don't care if it's fish or oatmeal or apple, it doesn't matter. Bless your food. And this is something that I think is important. When I had my near-death experience, I had my sons and my then girlfriend, my brother, everyone was, people from around the world, my sister, she was in the UK, everyone's praying for me. And I literally felt energy going through my body. And it's why I had a spontaneous healing. And it was just like, and I just don't make that up. I have medical, I shouldn't say that the bones were not healing, but I believe they were healing. I was having such a rapid healing that I think I may have shared this in the last one. I started working out 7 days after I shattered my neck. And I had this collar on and I put extra, I know it's kind of crazy, but I put extra padding on it so I couldn't move anything on it. But I worked out and I was healed so fast. And I think I think a lot of it's attributable to my just meditating. And look, if you've never meditated in your whole life, it doesn't matter. It's if you have intensity of a meditation, that's what matters. People talk about enlightenment all the time. That can happen on your very first time. This is not a schedule. I'm checking a box. I meditated. Well, it's just like another thing you have to do. Now, the meditations that I do, and by the way, I'm learning how to use computers so I can create meditations, because I'm going to create these simple meditations that I do because the people, we should know it. We should just know a simple way to do it. And I try to make them playful and fun and also entertaining and joyful to listen to. They're relaxing and I think I use some good words in it. And there's some basic foundational words, and they're not preachy. There's nothing like that. In fact, most of the meditations that I like are based on wholeness and quantum physics. And and that was part of the meditation I used to heal my body, to the shock to the surgeon who put me back together about how I healed my neck, how I healed vertebral arteries, how I just flew through this healing process so fast. Meditation, proper diet, clean mind, and look, I'm not a pristine person either. I have my faults. I have my misgivings. I'm aware of them. And I'm also working on them. But yeah, we've got, it really comes, and we've heard this so many times. We really have to be loving to ourselves. And it's like, that's been so, in my opinion, it's been so overused. But we can be more gentle with ourselves. Just a whole lot less demanding. It's like, do the best you can. And so we tell people, do the best you can. And then get up tomorrow, do the best you can. Just do the best you can. I put these, I can't see it right now, but I usually write on my wrist something like great job or thanks or grateful or keep going, or I just, because I look at it and go, oh, okay. And when I write it on there in the mornings, I do it with this kind of a sacred concept. I go, all right, this is, I'm going to be playful and gentle with myself. And I give myself a nice little message. It's like, okay, anything. And by the way, it's important when you start any kind of workout routine, any kind of diet, start listening, listen to your body, what's happening. And by the way, those first 21 days, it's going to hurt. you're going to be working on muscles that you forgot you had. And they're going to be talking to you. They're going to be saying, please stop doing this because it hurts. Well, yeah, it does in the beginning. Find yourself a good trainer or find someone who's really experienced and then let them help you do the proper exercises so that you're not going to hurt yourself. Or, you know, the amount of videos now that are on the internet is explosive. Find someone who's good. You can find thousands. Oh, I imagine. You can certainly find hundreds of free ones here. So mornings, I eat pretty, you know, my liquid salad. I'll take the oatmeal. I'll take my vitamins around 11, 11:30, 12, somewhere that I'll have a protein bar, a couple of them. And I'll get maybe around noontime. I just thought of some other things to eat. The Trader Joe's. I know they're Trader Joe's in California. There are here in Colorado. I buy the freeze-dried or dehydrated, I don't know what it is, bags of broccoli because I really like it. It's really tasty. It's a lot of fiber in there. And I've tried to get foods that have lots of fiber because that's really good for us. It cleans out the junk and the crap that sits in our intestines. So that's a good thing to do. And then sometime around 3 o'clock, I'll have, you know, maybe something plant-based and maybe another protein bar. And then I'll do the same thing around 6, 7 o'clock. And then on Fridays or Saturdays, I go off the wagon, so to speak. It's like, I want to eat pizza. I eat pizza. I'm also living. I'm enjoying pizza. I don't eat it very often because I just don't have such a craving for it. I love chocolate, super dark chocolate ice cream. You know, that's a delicious thing. I eat a lot of wholesome chocolate throughout my day too. Okay, and I've always done it since I was a very young boy. And then, you know, and I don't go overboard. And if I do go overboard, because sometimes I go overboard because sometimes I get so emotionally stressed out. It's like, all right, I'm just going to eat, you know, that 4 or 5 pound bag of popcorn or however it weighs. I'll eat it. I'll eat the whole thing. I'll get up the next morning and I will, because I usually do it on Friday nights or Saturdays. And I'll get up the next morning and I'm working out because I know when I just put my body through kind of a trauma because it's, you know, it's a lot of food. I don't care. I let myself, I be gentle with myself when I'm not so strict. So getting back to some of the things. So what I do for my chest, I do bench press. I think I do 7 sets of heavy weights. And to give you an idea, I start off, I do, you know, it's a 45 pound plate on an Olympic bar. And I do that 10, 12 reps, I get warmed up. And I stretch out, by the way, I stretch out for like 5, 6, 7 minutes, my shoulders and my chest to get everything loosened up. I'm moving my arms, I'm putting blood into all my joints and into my shoulder. I get everything ready. And then I start the bench press. And then I'll put on a 25 each end, so it's 185. And then I go to 2 1/4, put 2 plates on. And then I'll put 255 on it. I'll do that 3 to 5 reps. And then I'll come down to 245. I'll do that for a set or two. 235. Do that for a set to 2 1/4. So and then I'll go to seated shoulder press, and I press up. And I do 5, 6 reps with a heavy weight, as many reps as I can do, like 5 or 6 with as much weight as I can possibly do. And then I go do incline bench. I do it for 1 set. And then I go do dumbbell flies at an incline, 12 reps or so. And then I'll go hit this kind of shoulder, side lateral raises, front raises. And I do this V shape, and I do 12 reps of these, and then I lean forward while I get the backs of my triceps, backs of my shoulders, my deltoids. So I'm leaning forward and getting the backs. And I do these things. I just call them scarecrow or goalpost. That's for my rotator cuff. Then I have dumbbells, and I do this direction, and that's for my rotator cuff. And then I grab a cable, and I do right in between those 2 points, and I do two sets of those. With the cable. What else do I do? Oh, I do this one exercise where I'm just sitting, I have dumbbells, and I do this, I call them Leonardo da Vinci, because that's kind of like that, that style that he had. That's what that picture kind of looks like. And then I'll lay down on my back and I'll have a little bit lighter dumbbells, and I'll do that same motion, and I'll cross my shoulders to get everything, try to get every single part of my muscle, my shoulder, the connective tissue to my chest and shoulder, to the small muscles that are inside around our rotator cuff, get everything. I want to get everything moving. And then I'll go hit some, because I'm trying to get this new max, I'll do close grip bench press, and then I'll do dips, and then I'll be done. And that takes about an hour and 45 minutes. And that's it for my chest and shoulders for the week. And then my back, I said in the last one, I do stiff-legged dead. Oh, I do pull downs first, close grip pull downs, and then I do rows with cable rows. And then I stand on one leg and I do bent over rows. And then I do dumbbell rows with one hand, and then stiff-legged deadlift. And then I do my biceps and my triceps. It's mostly with curls, and this for triceps. It's this direction. I'm seated down, and I probably get I would say 80 reps on my biceps and 80 reps on my triceps, and then I'm done. And that takes about an hour, 15 hour and 20 minutes. And then a leg day, it's squats, leg curls, leg extensions, the squat machine, some body squats, and then of course I stretch out on all these at the end. And that only takes like 45 minutes to do, and I'm done. And then I mix it up with, those are all anaerobic exercises, weightlifting. And then I go do the aerobic exercises at least twice, sometimes 4 times a week. And it's and I enjoy it. And for the people who don't enjoy it, this is important. This is because we're always playing a mind game. There were many times in my life when I was lifting, it's like, oh, I gotta go do this again. And that was after I've been working out for 40 years. It's like my brain still does that. It's like, and I just kind of look at it, for people who've had children, when the kids are little, they're 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, and they just do things because they just don't have a lot of experience because they're little kids, but you still got to nurture them. It's the same thing you do with yourself. You just got to nurture that part that goes, oh, I don't feel like doing this. It's like, all right, you just talked to them. Okay, great. And you start doing the workout anyway. And I tell people, just do 5 minutes. Because once you get 5 minutes and your heart starts moving, your brain starts, well, I already started, I'm going to finish now. And that's what we do. And we just can basically trick ourselves into working out when we don't want to. And that's important to do, because we know it's the betterment for us. It's the same with the kid. It's a betterment for the kid. It's like they don't, and it's kind of like when that brain, pushes back on us, said, I've had enough. No, you haven't done anything. You haven't done anything yet. It's like, okay, be gentle with yourself, though. Be gentle. And it goes back to what I started this, go back to that present moment. Just be in that moment working out. Because when we don't want to work out, we start thinking about all the things we could be doing. We think about how painful it's going to be based on how it was in the past. No, get back to present moment about it all. And by the way, there are simple breathing techniques to do while working out. So that you start to energize yourself without even doing anything. And that's, everybody breathes. Just, it's just another awareness type of breathing. So, and then I went pretty long. So, I'm going to be quiet for a moment. So if you have anything else you want to just bring into there.
I have so many questions. First of all, if you notice about David, he has so much energy and he's so full of life. You can tell he's just a kind and caring person. I wish I was at David's gym, because I know he would just teach me everything I need to know. That's why I'm asking the question. So I wanted to show you all real quick what happened to David. We'll do this in part 3. So he was decapitated, and in the comments, people may say he wasn't decapitated, but it's called an internal decapitation. And in part 3, we're going to talk about that because David died. People call it a near-death experience, an NDE, that's the trend, but he was dead for a few minutes, and his view is he was in heaven for 6 days. So I'm going to ask him in a lot of details. He might tell us who goes to heaven and who goes to hell. He might tell us, what does heaven look like? I'm going to ask him a lot of questions. And a lot of people rise above their body and look down. But since I just had it, you saw when he's talking, his muscles are just popping out. And again, to repeat, to be born in 1960 and look like he's about 18 years old with tons of testosterone, it's just incredible. So what I did want to say though, let me stop this screen. And I'm going to show you again what he looks like. Oh my goodness. Look at this is David. Look at that. He's just popping with muscle. I want to look like that. So that's why I'm interviewing him for what he does at the gym and what he does in his life and how he eats. But what's different about David, and you can email me if you want help. It's growthfactor.org@gmail.com. And that's my website. I help people. I use hypnotherapy and nutrition tips, and I just listen. I'm a pretty decent listener, but I do help people with getting into shape. Mostly I help people with anxiety and because I got to say, I eat different than David. I used to be vegan, then I was vegetarian. And not only would I get exhausted from anemia, I remember one time I had to pull over the freeway and call my parents, like I'm about to fall asleep. And I would feel this doom feeling in my gut. I mean, I could be having such joy at a party or an event and think, I feel like I don't care if I live or die. I feel terrible. And I had to figure it out. And I think it's nutrition. I think what I've learned is we've got a microbiome. I've learned that I think 95% of our serotonin is in our gut, which affects our brain. So I was feeling this horrible anxiety knowing, yeah, I've got really difficult things in my life like we all do. I know all of you listening right now could tell me 10 horrible things or big challenges that you've overcome, and you still have more to come. And I have all that, but I thought there's something wrong with me. Why do I not care if I wake up in the morning? Why do I feel this doom like I'm on a roller coaster in my diaphragm? Something's wrong with me. So I think it's nutritional. And my theory is some of us, like David, do well with being vegan or he eats fish. Some of us need meat. And you can find people like I listened to Chris Wark. It's chrisbeatcancer.com. He saved his life with being vegan. I've listened to Dr. Dannenberg. He's a dentist. He saved his life by eating meat. And he had bone cancer. He was given 3 to 4 months to live. He feels meat saved his life. So I listen to a lot of doctors who say, you know what, as a doctor, we were told how to give a shot or a pill, write a prescription, that's it. I found doctors who now had to be nutritionists. I found a doctor who had multiple sclerosis, Dr. Terry Walls, WAHLS, who opened my eyes. And the way I interpret, I could be saying it wrong, she was vegan. She said she had a lot of, what's it called, lentils and rice and, very what we think today is healthy. But she had multiple sclerosis for 27 years, so bad that she was in a wheelchair for 4 of those years. That was declined or inclined, I don't know if you say it. She was doing so badly. She had to start eating grass-fed beef every day. She says eat liver once a week, not more than 6 to 8 ounces a week. And she also still has certain particular vegetables. I don't remember what it is. So it started to get me thinking because I have a friend I went to high school with. I've known since we were about 15. She's got Crohn's. So I looked up Crohn's, IBS, depression, Parkinson's, eczema, a lot of these autoimmune things. There are people who need to eat meat because it's got everything you need in it. It's a superfood. They talk about eating organ meat, which I can't do, eating liver and I'm just disgusted by it. I try to eat it. So for me, I went from being anemic and having anxiety to eating red meat, and it helps me. But some people need vegan. So I love talking to David about it because look at him. He's doing great. His body's amazing. His mind is amazing. But I can't get to that level with being vegan. It brings me down. We all are different body types. And people talk about blood types too. And I'm an O positive, and they say that type eats meat. But what I've heard is forget about blood type. It's something new that I never believed in. For me, it's new. Lectins and leaky gut. That supposedly this blood type, what it has in common is this doctor taught people just really try to avoid lectins, which causes leaky gut, meaning we all have a mucosal level in our gut. And if you have too much lectins, which is supposedly in wheat and certain beans and maybe what do they call it? The dark shades and maybe soy products, that some of us eat this stuff and we think we're being healthy, we're being vegan, and then we get the IBS and we get the Crohn's and we get the eczema and Parkinson's and all depression, bipolar, all these things that some of us have because of these lectins possibly, and leaky gut, which affects our brain. So I really appreciate talking to David, because I want to be more like David, and I want to know how he works out, and I want to know how he eats. And I also want to talk about his near-death experience. But what were you going to say, David?
You know, this is what you're saying is it's so important, because we get bombarded with all these messages. Be vegan, be vegetarian, be a meat eater, be experiment. Experiment. Find out what works well for you. And like I said previously, add a little bit at a time, and maybe just add red meats back into your body. So and maybe do that for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to see if that's the only change you make. What kind of response is your body giving you? And then maybe you add something else, little by little. And then within 6 months, you're gonna pretty much have this, what you need to do, what you need to eat, what you need to eliminate. It's not, we have to, again, go back, become conscious, become aware of what you're eating, and just take your time and be gentle, and you know, do the things and eat the things you like to eat too. Don't, and I caution people when they first get in it, you know, because I junk out now and then. For people, if you're on a roll, don't junk out. Just because someone said, go junk out for a day. Don't. Listen to yourself. If you want to go, I'm never eating another fill in the blank my whole life, and that works for you, do that. But listen to your body. It's going to give you feedback every single day. Like, for example, maybe this is a good way to segue into the near death. So my neck is, my C1 is shattered. C1 is shattered so badly, they can't put it back together. There are fragments of C1 up against my spinal cord, which they left there with the fear, if they even touch that spinal cord, I might die. So they stayed away from it. And I'm thankful for it. I actually said to the doctor, Dr. James Stephen at the Medical Center of Aurora, I said, don't worry, I'm just gonna make that those fragments disappear. I said, I'm gonna eliminate them. That's what I told him. And guess what? They eliminated. He couldn't explain that one either. So a busted neck, C1's broken, C1's shattered, C2 is broken, the connection to C3 is broken, and C4 has damage to it as well. And by the way, I posted this. I posted my medical records. It was about a vertebral artery, showing that it was blocked. I made the announcement to Dr. James Stephen that I'm going to do my prayer meditation thing. And it's not spooky, weird stuff. It's basic stuff. It's based on love, and it's based on quantum physics. So I did it. And then the medical records show it's open. It's open at 2 months when I got my scan, and it's open at 4 months, open at 8 months. And the doctor said, when I asked him, well, how do you explain this? And he said, I don't know. He said, sometimes we doctors just take our hands off you patients and you heal, and we do not know why. And I said, do you remember what I told you I was going to do? He goes, yes, I do. I said, I intentionally did that. And I invited him to, maybe he starts, you know, looking into that kind of understanding. And I think, and there are people out there, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Braden, Wim Hof. I'm next. And I'm not in these guys' level as far as their ability to just put all that stuff together, although I'm working on it. There's something more going on. So I know the heavenly part. So real quickly, so I'm riding my bike, and I have these bar mitts, it was February 1st, 2019. I'm riding my bike. I got these bar mitts on to keep my hands warm. It's 7:30 at night. It's in Denver metro area, south of Denver, Colorado. and I'm riding around this big park. It's a 10-mile loop, and I've been around it 3,500, 4,000 times, and hundreds of times at night. I have my lights on. I'm listening to comedy, and I go out of the park for a moment, and I come back into the park, and I hit black ice. My bike skids out. My front tire hits slides off the sidewalk, hits a log. I get catapulted. Immediately, my bike stops. I can't release my hands because they're trapped in these bar mitts. I land on my neck. I hear a snap, and then I'm thinking, and I said to myself, I just broke my neck. It was like, matter of fact, I felt a pinch in my neck, and because I just knew. And then I went out, and I'm conscious. And when I say I went out, everything went void. There was this huge void. I mean, huge void. It's a small void, massive void, infinite void, minuscule void. It's a void. And it said, and I remember, and I've said this before. I put this on to YouTube, and you link this too, Amalia. It was empty of darkness. It was empty of black. It was empty of everything. And then it's golden white light. I am just so happy. I'm enjoying myself. It's golden white light. It feels comfortable. Everything's warm. Everything's loving. Everything's blissful. Everything's joyful. Everything's connected. I know that I'm still me. And I know that the hundreds of millions or more who were there, maybe more, and then they're coming to celebrate my arrival. That is, I was told, that's what everybody gets. And, some people don't like hearing that, and it's like, I'm just telling you what I experienced. I am hanging out, enjoying myself. And then for a moment, I don't think I've ever even told you this. All of a sudden, I went through this, and I shouldn't say travel. Traveling's not the right word, because we don't have to physically move. You're just imagining it, and then you're going through it. And then, so I'm going through this, like this indescript passageway, and I went through colors, red, and then orange, and then yellow, and then I'm back into this another realm, and I'm just hanging out and enjoying myself some more. And now I'm thinking, and you said it was, and by the way, you said something about who goes to heaven and hell. I don't believe in hell. I've never believed in a hell. It doesn't even work in quantum physics. It's not even possible, except for the fact that we can believe in it. And because quantum physics tells us the observer effect. If we expect to find something, we find it. So if you expect to find a hell, you can find it. Now, it wasn't the same way with heaven. Heaven exists. You don't have to do anything to get there. You don't have to earn. Well, let me preface this. In this heavenly realm, this blissful realm, because we know people, we know ourselves. We've lied, we cheated, we've stolen. I remember stealing gum when I was 5 years old. I still can feel bad about that. I stole some gum. I didn't even know what stealing was. Well, I learned really fast. You're not allowed to 2 pieces of gum for a penny. That's how far back this goes. So anyway, it made an impression on me. So I don't steal. And in this realm, nobody steals. Nobody lies. Nobody cheats. Nobody kind of, what's I'm trying to think the Yiddish word of schmoozes. Nobody is schmoozing. Nobody is doing anything untoward anything or anyone. It is pure, heavenly, loving, connected bliss. And everybody knows it, and everybody feels it, and everybody only wants the best for each other. That's what it's in there. Now, for the people, and I'm not part of this, people who said, I go, you're going to get yours later. Well, maybe you don't, because what I got from presence, and that's how God, life, the universe, this supreme sovereign being showed up, and I'm having a conversation with it, and it's loving, but it's also stern. It is pure. It is pure. And it's, said to me, you can leave. And and again, it's a mental construct. It's a vibration. It's a conscious thing. I could leave, and I knew I could leave. But once I moved past this one point, I was not coming back to Earth. Once you go past this one spot, you don't come back. And I remember, being aware of that. And then presence turned me, said I became a quadriplegic with a tube down my throat in a wheelchair. And it's like, no, I don't want this. And I said, I don't want that. And then presence said, well, then go back and heal. And I said, I'll go back and heal. And then all of a sudden I am on, there's presence realm, and now I am on earth realm. And I don't lose awareness anywhere in here. And I'm laying on my left side, and I'm thinking to myself, I broke my neck, wiggle your toes so you don't cause any more damage to your spine, which I did. And then I sat up, I took the comedy off. It was funny. This is something. So that comedy was going on the whole time. And while I'm in this other realm, I don't hear anything like that. That's kind of interesting. It's like, I don't know what it means, but it certainly is a level of consciousness that we can get to in meditation, by the way. The masters have done this, and anyone could do it with practice. Because what we're, in that part of this discussion we're having, we have to convince ourselves that we already are in heaven and live from that. And it's not difficult, but we're just so conditioned to the physical realm that the presence realm that's encapsulated, or that encapsulates the physical realm. We're just so conditioned to pay attention to the physical realm. We don't notice the presence realm, or your heavenly realm, or your blissful realm, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't care what you call it, but we're there. I mean, we're there right now. And because, and again, some of my background, I've always felt close to God, life, the universe. When I was a kid, I didn't like the word God, because I thought it had been hijacked from, people who were less than, quote, telling the truth. And I listened to the people who got caught up in all kinds of scandals, because they're still human beings. And we've heard of gurus getting caught, and we've heard of ministers. They're just everywhere. They're still people. Everyone's still a person. So I called God life, because I noticed when I got a cut on my leg or an abrasion, it healed. And the way my mom explained it to me, she said, there's just an energy, there's a healing force. It's like, okay, that's what I grew up with. And I grew up with loving parents. Not that they weren't dysfunctional, they were dysfunctional. Like, everybody's dysfunctional, everyone. But through it all, I read the Judeo part of the Bible, the Christian part of the Bible, the Midrash, testimony, the Gospel of Thomas. I was going to be a minister. I read the Quran, most of the Quran. I read the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know how many times, the Mahabharata, quantum physics, everything I get on quantum physics. And I read, and I just kept studying everything, try to piece it all together. Where do they connect? Where do they start making sense? And it's just like, okay, I think I've got it. I have a clue now. And it took 40 something, but I have a clue about how we do this. I know how to get out of the 3D physical realm. I know how to get into the 5-dimensional realm. I know how to get beyond space. I know how to get beyond time. I know how to get into time space. I know how to get into these new realms. And I'm willing to teach people. And that is the main reason why I created Ask a Dead Guy, askadeadguy.com, because it's confusing, but it's simple. We just need, and look, it's It's going to take awareness on a person's part. And this is where that physical part comes into when you're learning how to take care of yourself and find out what kind of foods to eat, find out what kind of language you like to listen to, use that. The same thing goes with our spiritual realm. Find out what works for you. And look, if it doesn't harm you, if it doesn't harm others, go for it. If it's benefiting you and it's not harming others, go for it. And I'm not talking about some of the stuff that, like some of the people have, you know, because I don't drink. I've been criticized because I don't drink. And it's like, I don't drink ever. I just hardly ever drink because I like the physical side. Doesn't mean I don't find this great beer and Belgian beer and I freeze it till it's so cold that I drink it. And I only do this like every 3 or 4 years, but I drink it and I turn into a dude who likes to sing and silly and goofy, but I just don't do it that often. Because first off, I don't need to because I'm pretty goofy anyway. And asking dead guys to get people to get past this, excuse me, get past this misunderstanding about the confusion that we are already spiritual beings. We are already enlightened. We just have to start living from it. And that's what it's about. And I'm going to have in there a frequently asked questions so people can just go look at it and go, okay, well, this person struggled with this. And I'm not going to use anybody's name unless they give me permission. And we'll have to say, I give this guy permission to put this on here so that other people, real people can give their testimonies on this so that we can, well, we're kind of in a mire. We're in the world that's kind of spooky at times. And, I'm just going to the world's murky. I just want to add a little bit of clarity. That's it. So, because we're going to work on this together. And I am no master, but I want to aim that direction. I'm aiming for that direction. That's why it works the same thing. I'm not the greatest anything. I'm an average guy who's just done a few unaverage things. That's all. And anybody can do it. So, all right, that was kind of long. Thank you.
It was beautiful. I just love listening to my friend David. And I know you listening must feel like David's your friend too, because he's sharing his life experience. That's why I have this show called Growth Factors, because I love the story. I love the journey. I don't think I have a great memory, but when I hear a story, then I have a great memory because I remember the details of a story versus, general memory. So I really appreciate what you have to say, David. And you're helping us as human beings. I know we talk about being a human being, but really we're all human becoming. We're becoming more and more what we're meant to be. And I love how you say I'm just an average guy, because none of us are angelic on this world. We all have our challenges. We all have hurt somebody, maybe a few times, maybe a lot of times. We've made mistakes. And that's why I like listening to stories, is to help each other, because I think a lot of us feel like we're reinventing the wheel all the time. Like we're talking about nutrition. Should I be vegan? Should I be carnivore? Is there really a heavenly realm? Is there really a God? What does that even mean? So I love how you encompass all of that. And on top of that, when you're talking and we see your muscles popping out, that's why I wanted to ask you those questions, is how can we be in the best shape? Because when I see people they look bloated, I send them prayers because I realize they're not really doing anything wrong. They just really don't realize what you realize, that there's certain foods to eat and certain foods that cause inflammation. For you, it's being vegan, and that helps you mentally and physically. And for me and a lot of my friends, it causes autoimmune and gut issues and anxiety and depression, maybe even Parkinson's, bipolar, I don't know. Some of us just can't eat what some of us call it sugars or carbs. For me, having too much carbs doesn't work. When I have a lot of red meat, I feel confident. I can get through the day. I can wake up in the morning. I can get through the hardships. And I think, how did I even feel so horrible before? I think for me, it was having too much carbs and sugar. I happen to need animal protein. And my theory has become, David, and everybody listening, I understand if you don't want to sacrifice animals, you have to be vegan. Of course, you have to do that. But for me, if I don't sacrifice animals, I sacrifice my health and my children's health. It's just how it is. And that's the way I see it. So I have to make a choice. Do I want to be sick mentally or in my gut and be vegan? Or do I want to have animal proteins? And for me, that's how I'm healthy. But there are a lot of people who feel like you got to be kind to animals, even fish, not even eat the egg. And you have to be kind to animals. And as long as you're healthy mentally and physically, it's good for you. So I really appreciate you, David. And maybe one day we can do a part 3 where we get a lot more into David's nutrition, his workout, and his near-death experience, which I want to show one more time. I'm going to do a screen share. This is how David looks. Excuse me, this is oh, can you explain, because my title is probably going to be, one of my titles will be that you were decapitated and you lived. Can you explain that? People are saying he was not decapitated.
Yeah, maybe after this picture's off here, I'm going to turn around and see if I can. I don't know if you can. If I can. Can you see?
I'll tell you.
Can you see?
You have to lean backwards. Lean backwards. Yeah, there you go. Now go forward a little bit. Go forward. Yeah. Okay, now we see a little bit more forward though.
Scar right here.
Your collar has to go down more, and then yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah, and lean forward a little bit more. A little bit more. There you go. Yeah, we can see the scar in the back of your skull. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's about 7 inches long, because they literally had to, they pulled the skin and the muscle and everything else. They just pulled it back, and then they looked at it, and now it's destroyed. And I don't know what kind of glue they use, but there are other X-rays that show how it blew up, but they put it all back together. And then with the second one, they had to, they screwed that one back together, and they put these screws through the titanium into my spine. And it's kind of it's curved to go to the shape of from the back of my neck into my skull. And they put a plate on there. I just thought of this. So when I was it's up there at the top. You can see that there's a plate up there on top. When I was back in the shower again, showering off, and I just leaned forward a little bit, I could feel my head or my skull, like I could feel it shift. So I didn't do that for a long time, because that was a weird feeling. So I haven't thought about that for a long time, but there was another point I was going to make, but I forgot what it was.
The question was, what is the medical term about decapitation?
Oh, yes, thank you. So what happens is, of course, my skin is still holding my head on. The spine, my skull, our skull, there's a little hole in the bottom of our skull, and it sits on top of the spine. The pieces that go together, these pieces, this is C1, C2, C3, this shattered, this disappeared. It wasn't there anymore. So that my skull is, it's just loose. It's just there, held on by muscle and skin. And again, that's what, why having a strong neck was very, very useful. And so it held that part of it, held my head together long enough for me to get to the hospital so they could flay me, essentially, open it up, start putting the pieces back together again. It was weird. And the very first time when the doctor said, you have an internal decapitation, I felt nauseated in my stomach. I thought, oh, wow, that's horrible. Because when we think of decapitation, there's a guillotine, head rolls off. That's not that kind of decapitation, but it's a decapitation. And it's quite common, actually, because of the book I'm writing, it's quite common for younger men who dive into swimming pools or shallow pools, and they land on their head, and then they're paralyzed for the rest of their lives. And it's just, why it didn't happen to me, I know why. But I'm not sharing that yet. Oh, and there's one thing I did not share. This is important. In my bliss state, after I passed through this tunnel-like color thing, there was a little boy laying on the ground, which I believe to be was my youngest son at 8 years old, or it could have been me, but I'm pretty sure it was my youngest son. he's got his back to me. He's writing something on a pad. What he's writing, I feel internally. And it's like, and there's a thing that I have to do that's that I don't even want to do, but I'm going to do. And then of course, teaching people, so I'm in this Dr. Joe Dispenza Cancun retreat 2019, December 2019. We meditated like 95 hours in a week. We did a lot of meditation, and I recommend it. And I'm in this deep meditation, and all of a sudden, Presence has a great sense of humor. And Presence said, when I said go back and heal, I didn't mean just you. It was like, so it was fun. Presence was saying this with like a little, I can't call it sarcasm because it really wasn't that. It was because I got the point, but it was still all the same. I got the message like, all right, I'm in, and I remind myself that I had mala beads on me too, that my then girlfriend gave me. And I'm sure they cut them off, but I've been wearing, when I put mala beads on in the morning, which I never thought I would wear a necklace ever. I put it on. I remember, oh yeah, another day. I've got another day to live. This is awesome. I'm gonna make the best of my day. And that doesn't mean I don't have down days. Of course I do. I have plenty of them. But I remember and I recall what I experienced, and knowing, all right, I got this. And that's what I sometimes write on my wrist. All right, you have this, or you got this. And it's just, to remind me, no, we're all sustained. That was one thing. That was one of the main messages I got from Presence. We are all sustained. In the end, this is all rigged. We all prevail. We just have to bring that blissful heavenly nature into earth so that we can experience it. As it is in heaven, let it also be here on earth. And let me be, and I say to this to myself, I just want to be a conduit for this. I want to be an instrument that this can happen in this planet. I want it. I want it for selfish reasons. Like I say, I told my sons, I want you, and I say this with the spiritual nature, I want to brainwash people into thinking of their own divinity. And I have this saying, the difference between, how does this go? Make sure I get this right. This is a quote. This is the practical side about this, by the way. I ask for simple explanations, and then I let it go, and then I expect an answer, but I let it go completely, and then I'll get answers. I'll get brand new words. They're going to be in my book, but I have these. That's the practical nature of it. Like just recently, I go, okay, I need something kind of clever, and I said, you can't spell spiritual without ritual. And I thought, and here's my relationship to God. It's like, good job, God. That's a great quote. So I look it up to see if anyone has ever said it. No one's ever said that before. It's like, oh, that's just, so there's that very practical side of getting in alignment of our true nature. So, and that's also going to be, it's going to be one of the main concepts of, because people go, well, great, you're peaceful, but what are you doing? It's like, okay, and we have to push ourselves. I have to push myself. I'll just leave it for me. I just have to push myself for the reason why I came back here to the planet the second time. It's like, okay, I'm in. So, all right, that's enough.
Wonderful, David. Thank you. I'm wondering if there's anything else you can think of that you wanted to share, but I feel like I asked you every question. I feel like if anyone wants to, you can in the comments ask David a question. Hopefully he'll notice. And I just wanted you to hear about his internal decapitation, that he was dead for a few minutes, but he felt like it was 6 days. I wanted you to see how he eats, which is very vegan with some fish. And he's just in such great shape for being born in 1960, you know, and he's really doing a lot right. And I love how you talk about meditation. So if you want to reach out to him, it's askadeadguy@gmail.com, or his website is askadeadguy.com, right?
Yeah.
And to reach out to me, it's growthfactor.org@gmail.com, or that's the website if you want help with anxiety, doom, nutrition, all kinds of things. So anything else, David, before we go?
Yeah, I do want to say this. This would be, I would love to know this. You're listening to this either in the morning or you're going to listen to it at night. Just let your divinity, let yourself believe in your divinity. Just do it. Just allow that, because that is where we came from. And we came from divine material. That's who we are. Let that just steep inside you. That would be a quote, a win, a prevail for me. I would love to hear about it. It's like, okay, so that's good. Thanks very much,
David. And in the comments, if you've had a spiritual experience, it could be coincidence. It could be something life-saving where you feel like an angelic being was there. It could be anything, just anything spiritual. I'd love to interview you. And if you have any ideas for part 3 with David, anything we didn't complete, I'd love to hear what you want David to talk about.
it's great. Yeah.
Thanks, David. Thanks everyone for being here.
All right, bye.
Appreciate you. Bye.